need to do a little...
We're brilliant at like syncing up our claps.
We got two claps.
Yeah, you can tell who was the rhythm section there. Like, yeah. So we and action. It really smells like dude.
Smells of pure dude. Just an introduction as to what this is, by the way. Basically, well, it was mainly Josh's idea, I think. So often when you're in a band, you're going to be going on long drives to gigs and things, and we thought it'd be really fun to record that and I guess make it into like a video podcast. So I'm going to try and do some of these on the channel if this one goes well. This is kind of like a pilot episode. So yeah, no real plan, really, no title yet. So
Rainio.
Rainio, like Rayna radio, nice. Nice. But yeah, if you've got any ideas for a name for this after you've watched it, leave a comment below. Yeah, in the future I might get suggestions on what to talk about. I put out a tweet and an Instagram ting earlier and last night asking questions. So we're just going to chat, shizzle like we always do, and I'll address some of these questions at some point. So, lovely times.
Yeah, man. We got, what, 2 hours? Oh, stop telling me what traffic's on the way. I don't care, mate. 2 hours and 17 minutes, mate.
Where are we off to?
Somerset. Bruton. It's the most metal sounding town in Somerset. Bruton!
Yeah. This is the furthest I've travelled with the Lockerbillies so far.
Yeah, Furtherbillies.
The Furtherbillies.
Yeah, farthest.
This is
the
the
furthest
least...
we've gone in this van as well.
Yeah, this is the maiden voyage, maiden voyage.
The maiden
Vanage.
Sounded like a horrible nickname for a lady garden. Murray made it funny.
Oh god, nice.
I'm well gonna zoom up on your face when you say that. Murray made a funny boing. That is a jingle.
It's a jingle, man. It's getting repeated.
A Joe Bengal. Alright, I'm gonna go straight in with a question.
Yeah, please, because it's getting smellier and smellerier.
So, what are your guys's...
I've got many guises. Yeah. I'm a master of disguises.
So, what is
I probably prefer my Peter Pan. I'm very good at Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Tights.
Nice. I can imagine you in a pair of
green
tights with your little moose knuckle.
Oh god.
Is moose knuckle PG? Am I going to have to cut that with a quack? And I just said as well. I was like,
Duck
is
knuckle.
moose knuckle PG?
Knuckle,
yeah. So question 1 is, what is your least and favourite driving experience to a gig you've been part of?
I reckon Murray's and I's are the same. For the worst.
You go first.
Well, so first year we went to Glastonbury. We left off. I mean, we had a gig the day before in Ipswich, and obviously Glastonbury's in Glastonbury and Somerset, so it's the same drive we're doing today because it's the same organisers. But it's the we were left off at like 2 AM because we had a set at 1 PM in the afternoon that same day. But you know, after the night was over.
Yeah.
And it was sheets of rain, like absolutely mental. It was like proper thunderstruck.
Yeah.
We were like, every time there'd be lightning strike, we'd be like, yeah! But yeah, it started to get a bit scary when we got like halfway down the A12 because you just start aquaplaning. This is when
in your Chevy as well, which didn't have the best window wipers.
No, the window wipers were just like
just a bit like
for functionary, really. We're just like we're supposed to have windscreen wipers, so we'll put them on. Yeah.
Aquaplaning's well scary. As a new driver, it's only happened to me once, and I was like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. But then so I would say I was overtaking somebody, and we're all just sort of chatting like we are right now, and overtaking somebody on the right. I think I must have been going 70, which was a stupid idea in that weather, and I just started to aquaplane.
But not only that, the water, the puddle that you hit came over the window screen, so we were aquaplaning blind.
Yeah.
For like a good 5 seconds.
So I just literally just clutched the steering wheel, held off the gas, and just came back. Didn't brake because I knew that would just skid, and just yelled at the top of my lungs, balls!
Whack, whack.
Yeah. And luckily we came out of it. But after that, the drive was slightly quieter after that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're all sort of like.
But to be fair, there was a moment where we all thought we were going to die.
Yeah.
We all thought we were going to die, and then afterward we were in hysterics for about 5
Yeah,
minutes.
exactly. That was like the closest to death I've ever been.
Yeah, things like that are scary.
Yeah, but it's that thing of like when you feel like you're going to die, but then afterwards you immediately laugh because it's just like hilarious.
But to be honest, like, see, that was the worst drive. And
Yeah.
for me, I think that was also the best drive because A, there's a story behind it.
Yeah.
B, we were super excited to be playing Glastonbury for the first time.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a C. I'm just, you know.
And 3. I've forgotten what this list is for.
Yeah, exactly. 3 lists.
Yeah.
A, B, yeah.
A, B, 3.
Yeah.
My worst one. This was what year are we in? 2018. This was about 6 years ago when Flickr was still a thing. For a little while, we had a guy called Jack Player playing bass for us, and he was awesome. He's in a ska punk band called Faintest Idea, who are really rad, by the way. So check him out. But yeah, so we were driving back from a gig somewhere, and Jack used to do all the drivings at the time. He was the only one in the band who could drive. And we were going along the motorway, and literally we just heard like a vroom, and like the hood of the car had just like reversed itself, right, over the windscreen, and there was a gap like this big that he could see through.
A porthole.
So he was like down like here driving, and luckily we were maybe like a quarter of a mile from a lay-by, so he had to navigate into it with like a viewfinder this big. And we got there, and like everyone was super stressing, and it was bare cold as well. So we had to stand on the lay-by.
Where did you say you were?
freezing. I don't remember. I think we were on the A1 because we'd just come out of that massive sex shop on the A1, the famous one. There was some rum old stuff in there.
Okay.
I digress.
This also makes it the best drive.
Yeah, that was the worst one, just because it was really scary for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd say, let's do best ones. You said your best one is probably that
The
same
same
drive.
one, yeah. For me, I think so, just because of all the excitement that was there on the road. I mean, yeah, I think some of the really good ones have just been like, another really fun one was when we were playing in the south of France. We sort of had this. It was what 18-hour? No. It was an 11-hour drive. I think all in all, we did like 3,500 miles or something like this.
That's mad.
But I think we only sort of stopped once for the ferry. I think that was it. But yeah, it was wonderful. But that was also pretty scary because my Chevy, although it's an American van, is still a right-hand drive.
Yeah.
So most people would be like in an American car going over to France. They'd be like, finally, But yeah, no, I had to have Murray was my wind mirror checker.
For the first like hour or so of the journey, we were listening to loads of Eagles, weren't we?
Yeah,
and like just having a proper Eagles fest.
It was proper. Yeah, not just like sound effects. And, just that was a gold eagle.
Yeah,
that was a bald
YouTube.
eagle.
10 hours straight of eagle sounds.
That one's catching a fish.
Even though the really long ones are hard, they're hard going, but like sometimes they're the ones that stick out in your memory more.
The long ones are the hard ones that stick in your memory.
All right.
Sorry.
But like because you're on the road for so long, you come up with all sorts of like random conversations and jokes and things that like specifically are connected to that one journey.
That one thing.
So it sticks out in your mind.
Each tour has its own nomenclature.
Well, we always remember nomenclature.
I was a poet and I didn't even realise it.
What was it? Like on that drive, Rich Webb had told us his Ocasan game for when they go drive. They do big tours and things like
Was
this.
that a band he was in?
Yeah, Ocasan. They've toured all over the world.
In the description.
Yes, they're great. Still on Spotify, fantastic albums. What they would do, it would be the movie game, wouldn't it? So you say the synopsis of a film, right? But what you've thought of in your head is that the title of that film, but you've added or subtracted one letter. Murray's one, which was great, which was his. So what he said to us, for us to guess it, was Liam Neeson's got a chip on his shoulder and chasing someone, but just keeps going around picking up things and bringing them home with him, and it's just take.
instead of taken.
So it's taken but without the end. So that's like a fantastic game to play because that kept me awake.
Yeah,
didn't
man.
It? Like I think we were driving 11 hours. I think we got there at ridiculous time in the morning in France, and like for the last 5 hours of the drive, I was just reading them off, and there's Murray and Hicks just going,
the more you
please shut up.
Yeah, the more you do it, the more you come up with. So, quick idea, if anyone can think of any examples of that, leave a comment on this video with some of those like synopsi, and us three will try and guess what films they are.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Murray, give you another example.
It's a film about a really cute shark.
Love it. Oh, you boo, you boo. It's like a big dog. The big dog.
Big dog.
What was your favourite drive?
Me?
Yeah.
You already said it.
Yeah, it was the Glastonbury one, was it?
The South of France.
Oh, South of France one, yeah. That was super cool.
I'd say my favourite one was an East Town Pirates one where...
yeah, because you've played in France quite a lot.
East Town Pirates have. I never have though. There's been 2 French tour opportunities since I've been in the band, and both have been cancelled, which is a real shame because I loved it. But yeah, basically East Town Pirates used to have this famous van of ours called the Beast, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And like it was so fun because you could fit about 11 people in there and our entire back line. So the back of the van was always just a party, man. Yeah. Like we'd be like drinking and like all this stuff that me and Josh always say is really unprofesh. Yeah. But in Pirates we kind of got away with it. But either way, we were driving to a gig once.
The driver was never.
And no, the driver, Kev doesn't even drink, so we're lucky with that. He's always designated driver. So thanks, Kev. But yeah, basically we were in the back and we had these little East Town Pirates like pirate hats that we make out of paper, and we just went full art attack, and I filmed like the how to make them.
Try it yourself.
But we called it like art attack, and like literally just filmed it in the van on the way there of like Ricky cutting up this hat. Like, what you want to do is you want to leave a nice white piping outline, and then fold bish bash buff and like all this stuff. And it was like it was brilliant, man. Yeah, I'll link it again down in the description. And yeah, it was awesome. And I literally just filmed it on my phone and posted it on our Facebook, and before we arrived at the gig it had 1,000 views. It was it was insane. And that whole trip back in the day, East Town Pirates in the van, was just so fun because like it was just a real party vibe. Yeah. And it was a party bus. It was awesome, man. But I also pretty hard in that van once, and that was awful.
Racist.
Did I know? Want to hear that?
Murray, where were you?
I was waiting for that.
Bust out my falsetto.
Yeah, finally. After all these years, I knew that you could do it.
Murray's just going to get some.
I'm just holding it back.
Mosparatic.
I'm holding it back for the right moment.
Yeah.
Nice. So you were mentioning how like normally on a long drive you end up coming up with these games and things, right? So everyone does it, or like with the Pirates we just do stupid things like filming art attack. What if you're driving on your own to a show, which I know often happens with all 3 of us, what is the thing that keeps you occupied then? Do you like to listen to tracks you're going to perform or podcasts?
Yeah, podcasts.
Yeah.
Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Bill Burr gets
comedy,
us through a lot.
Stand up.
Yeah, stand up. Yeah, that's always fun. Like when I was in Who's Driving Bears driving, we used to watch a lot, listen to a lot of the Ricky Gervais show.
Yeah,
so
man.
with the Carl Pilkington podcast and things like that.
Hi, Jamie.
And that was always good because, like, you may be drifting off. It may have been a really long drive, and you're just trying to just crawl up in a ball. But there's still some incredibly funny things that go on, and then so when everything's been quiet for a while and been kind of awkward, I find like silences on things, because I always try to make sure that I'm talking to the driver if I'm not driving, especially if it's late at night, just so they don't feel that they're just like, oh, I'm really driving everybody around and nobody even wants to talk to me.
I'm really bad at being co-pilot. Like there was an unwritten rule in the Beast where if you were in the front seat with Kev, you had to stay awake.
Yeah.
But I could never do it. I'd be like, yeah, I'll be well awake, man. Yeah. And literally as soon as he turns the engine on, I'd be asleep.
I think that's just manners. It's like it was with you, Murray. Like you were driving back from somewhere. I think it was from London, and everybody in the car just fell asleep.
Yeah.
And you're just like stuck there.
Yeah.
think it's just not fair because you were tired as well. You know?
It is really hard though, like, with me, because I'm like a terrible sleeper. I find the one place I don't struggle to sleep is on public transport, or even if someone's driving me.
I was going to stop again.
I've done that so many times.
Me too.
Oh man! When I was in Rayna, we once had a gig in London. Like in Camden, I think it was, and we were getting a train back to Brighton that night, which is where we all lived at the time. And me, by the way, apparently me talking about living in Brighton is Josh's equivalent of talking about Glastonbury. But anyway, when I lived in Brighton, yeah, we were getting a train back, but because we were so tired, we not only like overslept our stop, we got on the wrong train. You know when they do that thing when there's two on the same platform? One of them was going to Brighton and one of them was going like North London, which is like the opposite. So we woke up, with the security. We were the last people on the train. Security just woke us up and we're like, "Hello, where are we?" And they were like, "Yeah, you're in
magical place."
Yeah, we were somewhere just north of, like, we're basically in like Bedford or somewhere, right? And yeah, we were just like, what do we do now? It's like 3 or 4 a.m. We ended up having to get a taxi from there back to London to get another train to Brighton. And we had like the safest taxi driver because we explained our story to him, and he like knocked a few, I say a few quid, it was quite a substantial amount off the taxi fare, and was like, yeah, just go get yourself some coffees, you've had a rough night. Like, what sort of taxi driver does that? How cool is that?
Legendary.
What was the question again?
What you do to occupy yourself if you're driving on your own. You're a podcasting guy.
Yeah, Harley's the same. Harley listens to podcasts.
Harley loves a podcast. I've only recently got into listening to podcasts, man. There's a few that I like.
It was Harley because of that. It was because of Harley.
Yeah.
He got me into it from listening to Dinosaur Park.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Or Plumbing the Death Star. Those guys, because they'll just talk about, like, Frankie, my girlfriend, and I were going up to Harry Potter Land in sort of northwest London, and we were listening to their ones called Plumbing the Death Eaters, and they were just talking about, you know, inconsistencies in the Harry Potter universe.
Nice.
And it's great because it just, that's the kind of thing. Podcasts are great for sort of inspiring conversations sometimes, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Music though wise, like, you know, I love, because you know, a lot on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff like this, you'll get your sort of suggested playlists. Those are always great, I find, because you just, like, nobody's fiddling with their phone. And when they should be, you know, driving, you just go bang.
I like
put something on.
When I'm driving, it depends, like, where if it's a gig where I know the stuff, I'll either listen to songs that really pump me up and make me want to play. So like anything from like the early noughties, like
Hybrid Theory.
Yeah, Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park, Blink, Green Day, anything like that proper gets me going, like, yes, I'm gonna really go out and smash it today, branding. Ting ting ting.
Be a rock star.
But like, but either that or I'll just listen to, now I'll sometimes listen to podcasts, but I am a bit of a sucker though for, I do this a lot with Mementos just because I don't get to rehearse with them much and I don't play with them very often. That's the one band I sometimes step for where I really am not familiar with the stuff, so I make a playlist of their songs and just listen to that on repeat on the way to the gig.
Yeah, especially when you're in Dep.
Yeah, like I've got playlists on Spotify for every band that I dep with just because it helps me stay familiar. I pick things up really fast. I'd say that, you know, not to blow my own trumpet, but I'm quite a fast learner. But it's easy to forget stuff as well when you're in that many bands.
I find the hardest thing is correlating the song name with the song.
Yeah.
The feel,
So I can remember once you start playing, you're like, oh yeah, it's this one.
Yeah.
And you play the whole song perfectly. But when you look at the set, you go, which one's that again?
Why, yeah, how does it sound?
It is funny, isn't
Rob
it?
Lewis was saying that about Colourblind Hedgehogs. He was saying the drummer, every single time he sits there, goes, how does this one go again?
Yeah.
No, he's Northern, apparently, and apparently he's just like, every time, like, Rob's going like, come on, man, you wrote this song.
Yeah.
That's,
oh, Ringo. Well
put
done,
it up
Ringo.
on the
You wrote a song.
Put it on the bridge.
So everyone can see.
Yeah, no, I find, like, because you know, I'll be writing songs, and I like to make like full-blown demos of everything. So with bass, drums, and everything like this, so that when I'm driving, I can come up with lyrics.
Yeah.
When I write stuff, I come up with everything, like, you know, backing based before I'll do main melody.
Yeah.
And things. You know, obviously people have different ways of doing it. But yeah, so it's really nice. So when I'm driving, I'll just be whatever. Usually, when the way most of my melodies have been written is just when I've been driving, and it's the first thing that I sing to it.
Yeah.
And that's just the melody for it. Not, you know, no arm and ahhing about it, because otherwise I'll just be sitting thinking, oh, this will be there, this will be there. It's like, no, just bang, 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 next thing, because otherwise, for me, it doesn't feel pure enough.
Yeah.
If it wasn't the first thing that I wanted for it, then yeah.
I kind of do the same thing with drums, like with some of the new demos and stuff originally when we were doing the new Easttown Pirates album, which is nearly finished now. I actually find sometimes I'll find it easier to come up with drum parts not sat behind a drum kit. So if I just listen to the demo without drums or with just a click track on it, I'll just sit there and I like to vocalise drum parts, and then I try and replicate them on the kit. So like say there'll be a section come up and I'll do like a fill out loud. I'll be driving along and I go like black a dagger to cut out, and then I'll be like, oh, that was sick.
That's the one.
Yeah, and then I'll get on the kit and be like black a dagger to cut, and I'll be like, yeah. I did a thing.
But yeah, like that's what I often, you know, if I am in the car by myself, you'll find myself just singing, like like, you know, that's I think that's a lot how many people will learn how to sing. It's just long drives by yourself.
Yeah.
Like not worried about anybody else being in the car. You sound the best you can ever sound in the car because it's so dead in here.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
If they could somehow make the inside of a car sound like when you sing in the bath, everyone would be applying for X Factor, man.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
the amount of people, I love it when you're driving along and you catch someone like full on like, hey, yeah, and you're like, whoa, chill out.
You either get them doing that or they're just full on.
When I do that, I try and harmonise with them.
Yeah.
I look out the window, I'm like, ha, oh. They're like, whoa. Actually, that's
when you're in three-lane traffic and you line up 3 cars doing a nice little trio, it's like, and then some guy pulls up,
yeah.
I'm going to address.
And then Murray turns up. He's like,
I'm going to address the first question that was put to me. So,
question.
Huh?
You're going to address the question.
I'm going to address the question. I went full on Suffolk.
Yes.
I keep having to try not to swear. I'm sorry. There's going to be a lot of quacks in this.
Your mouth is a hot in the day.
Oh, I'm going to hotten it up in here.
Hotten it up in here.
Josh, you ledge.
Thank you. Oh, the other one.
Other Josh. T'other Josh. Other frontman Josh. Of Bluesy.
What, from Animal Noise?
Yeah.
No, the other one.
So, on Instagram, I put out a little thing saying to ask us some questions for the podcast. So, good old Ben Button Boy from our Rock Project has asked, what changes, if any, would you make to your current drum kit setup if you had an unlimited budget? I'm going to slightly rephrase that just to be like for all three of us. So like, what changes would you make to our gear with an unlimited budget? So unlimited budget is kind of a bit vague. If that was the case, I'd just buy the best drum kit, the best stands, the best cymbals, the best everything. But that all comes down to preference, doesn't it? I think it might be an easier thing to ask if we're really thinking about it. Say like if there was if someone just handed you $3,000 and went, right, buy yourself some new shizzle, what would you get? I know the first thing I would do is actually just buy a new kit. Like my kit looks pretty, but those shells are so old and beaten up. I'd probably go for like a DW custom kit, get a nice finish on it, the sizes that I like.
What kind of finish would you have then?
I'd really like a matte black finish.
Right.
Just because I feel like black is quite classy and it would work with any band that I'm in. It works for function gigs. And if you're going custom, you could, 2 rack toms, 2 floor toms. I can take the smaller toms to the gigs where they're more fitting, the bigger tom. Easttown Pirates, I'd probably end up using all of them because I like to go full ham.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. I think
corn ham.
I'd go corn ham. That's mainly what and maybe just buy some hard cases because I'm a sucker for not having cases for my gear. I've been drumming since I was 13, 14 and I only bought a case for my snare about 2 months ago. Murray, what would you spend your $3,000 on?
Well, I think probably a new cab.
Yeah, you've wanted one of those for a while.
I'm looking for like the perfect one basically at the moment because I like things to be convenient and like just easy to load in, load out and all that, but still have enough like punch for it to really kick. Yeah. But I just haven't found the perfect
bass
one.
amps are so heavy.
They are. And
well, that Fender Rumble.
That's why I bring the Rumble around.
It's great, isn't it?
It's just like,
do you know if
it's
they
great
do
to sound good, but it's also like, you don't want to put your back out. Like, just make your life.
Yeah, if they do cabs, that'd be amazing. If you could find a cab as light as the Rumble,
that would be fantastic. But it's just, you do take a hit on sound a little bit. But you know, it does sound good. I mean, the amount of times that we've used that Fender Rumble 100 that is just like, you know, there's a budget thing that I just bought for the band. We've used it at so many different festivals and stuff like that where you have to lug the gear across, you know, fields and fields. And like, nobody's ever come up to me and said, that was great, but your bass setup's not good, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just
well, and, you know, 9 times out of 10 when we do our own shows, we're playing for a PA. So I just take a line out of the amp, and the vast majority of the sound is coming out of the PA.
Yeah, they got good preamps.
And when we play festivals, it's the same thing. It's just the only thing it lacks is that when you're a bass player, it's nice to be able to really feel the sound coming out of your amp.
Right,
and you don't get that from that, which is why I'm kind of looking for something a little bit bigger, but still lightweight.
Especially for those shows where you can't have monitoring, monitoring anyway.
I've got a great head. It's just the cab.
You have got a great head.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
It's lovely. So that's what you'd spend your 3K on. Josh, I'm gonna guess it's some like old 50s guitar played by some proper geese.
To be honest, like I've got so much gear because of the band that, you know, the double bass is mine, the PA is mine, you know, all the back line, everything apart from the drums is mine. So really, like, I'd be super boring and I would just like get loads of stuff repaired. I think that's just the thing, because when I bought all the gear, I just basically just took a loan out that I'm still paying off to just sort of own everything, so that I, like, you know, when I'm charging, then I can factor it all in.
Yeah, sure.
And you know, make sure that everything's getting paid off. But yeah, no, I didn't factor in maintenance into that originally.
Yeah.
And so if somebody threw money at me, it would literally just go on maintenance. I'd be so boring with it.
When people book bands, that's a real good point you just picked up on there, which I think would be quite interesting for us to discuss very briefly, because we are running out of time a little bit.
We're talking about, we've got 2 hours.
In terms of battery life and SD cards, we are running short. When people are booking bands, unless you're in a band, people get really shocked at sometimes how expensive bands are, but no one factors in like how expensive our gear is. You know, for us three, we're self-employed. This is our job. You know, especially you two. You know, I say lucky enough, but you know, I have another job on the side which helps me pay bills. But there's those like maintenance of the gear, traveling expenses, rehearsing. Like, I'm only bringing this up because it annoys me. Like, but there's something you can't get annoyed at because it makes you look really unprofessional. You know, like someone I work with was recently inquiring about booking a band for her wedding. And she asked me for advice. She was like, yeah, so every band I've been asking is really expensive. They're charging like 1,200 quid for a wedding. And I'm like, I'm not going to be funny, but that's pretty average and actually quite good. And that was for a 6-piece band as well.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not going to disclose anything about how much, like, obviously we charge, but I would say that's super reasonable. People don't factor in. They're like, yeah, but what, for 2 hours work? I'm like,
it's not 2 hours.
It doesn't work like that. Like, you know, that might be their only job that weekend.
How much do you pay for a catering for the wedding?
Yeah, the catering, the flowers are probably just as much.
Venue,
and they're not even there. They go there for a couple hours, pop up some little daisies, and then they mess off.
I mean, like, if people really thought about, you know, how much
that was
it
really
costs to get,
condescending. I'm sure that job's actually really awesome.
Yeah, it's not. But like, you know, if people really thought about it, like, as soon as somebody got down on one knee and asked you to marry it, it's just like, do I want to spend 15 grand?
That's,
like, you know, like, they look at that person and just like, are you worth 15 grand?
That's
take them down a bloody registry office, boy.
Yeah, exactly.
After partying Weatherspoons, you'll be sorted.
Yes.
My round, getting
yeah,
everyone a beer like £7.40 or something. I love a bit of spoons.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to Weatherspoons at the airport the other day and almost cried because the prices were like double. I just expected them to always be super cheap, but in context of the airport, it was still the cheapest option.
How are we stuck in traffic? It's a Sunday.
Yeah, it is.
Come on!
Everyone should be at church or watching football or whatever normal people do. I'm going to bring up another talking point.
Go on.
So, what did you do before you guys could drive? What did you do in terms of getting to gigs, and how did you get around that? Murray, let's start with you.
Well, when we first started, we were in a band with some older guys, so they drove. We had a van, didn't we?
Oh, not when we first started though. When we first started, we were like 12.
Well, then
not even that.
our parents were probably driving us to the
Yeah, they
shows.
were, yeah.
I don't remember ever lugging an amp on a train or anything like that.
I've done my fair share of full
tell me
back
about
line on the train.
Yeah, no,
it is
it's the worst.
mental.
Yeah, no, my mum, like, I think she got fed up with driving me around at gigs. She bought this Suzuki Jimny when I must have been about 15, 16 sort of thing, which had like 0 boot space. She's like, you're going to have to make your own way. I'm sorry. It's just the way it goes. I didn't choose this. Like, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But, like, it's fair enough. Yeah, so, like, yeah, when I was living in London, that, you know, tubes, you know, having to get everything on the tubes was the worst, especially when you're quite tall and you've already got a guitar on your back. Because to get hooked on the door, it's like, what?
Yeah.
And doors are closing, you're like, no, it's stuck. But yeah, because I was in, who's driving? Bear's driving. We were.
No one was driving if you're on the tour.
Who's driving? Two driver.
There's so much Suffolkism in this. I've got quite a few followers outside of England, so
They're gonna be like,
just to explain what Suffolk is like, imagine Suffolk is like the redneck of England.
I don't know. Yeah, they're pretty
deep
conservative
south,
actually around there. Yeah.
So trains. Yeah.
That was it, because I'd be
mama.
constantly getting to Whittam, so I'd have to get tube from Tottenham Court Road on the Piccadilly line down to the Circle line at, I think it would have been King's Cross, and then get from King's Cross to Liverpool Street, and then at Liverpool Street get on the train to, actually no, I'd go to Stansted.
Yeah.
So I'd get, not Stansted, Stratford, shut up.
I mean, you know, this only applies if someone's lived in London. I'm just sitting there going, where? All of this means nothing.
Yeah. But, you know, advice is...
Yeah,
so then you get on the train, so then you'd have to lug your gear, not only on one train, it would be like 3 or 4, that's my point.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah.
I've done my fair share of trains.
So getting through tube stations, it's just like, you know, especially through the gates.
It's so stressful as well when you've got all that gear and everyone's just like so inconsiderate. Like everyone is just like fully thinking about themselves on the underground. So like you're just getting in people's way and then they're knocking your gear and you're like, come on, man.
And the amount of times that I'd be sort of carrying loads of gear and there'd still be somebody there with a buggy that just can't get them down the stairs. Everybody's walking past them and I'd be like, right, drop my gear and I'll help get the buggy down the stairs. It's just, it's doggy dog. But yeah, like that's, I'm really glad, I started driving when I was about 17.
Yeah, it's
so
lucky,
I was
man.
really lucky to be able to get around.
I mean, I'm 27 now. I only learnt to drive a year and a half ago now. And that's just due to financial reasons, not being able to afford to before, or when I lived in Brighton. I didn't need to because of public transport. But when I first started playing and when I first got in bands when I was about 15, when I first started taking it seriously, my granddad, who was an absolute hero, would drive me to and from every gig, every rehearsal, because where this old band used to rehearse, we had to take all of our gear. There was no gear there, so we'd have to. So I had a little cheap PA we used. I had to take my kit. I think they even used my bass amp. This dude. So we'd just load it into my poor old granddad's car every Sunday morning.
Like a proper legend.
He is a legend. He's so cool. And he'd help me set it all up, and he'd just sit there in his car reading his paper for 4 hours or whatever while we're practicing, even though he lives like 2 miles down the road. And he'd come out and be like, "Oh, that's some rum old tunes you got there. Loud music in it, boy, but I like it." My granddad's awesome. He's in his 80s, right? So in 2004, he must have been what, sort of like 70s. He was early 70s. The year that American Idiot came out, 2004, I got it for Christmas, and I was listening to it, and he was like, "Oh, I quite like it, I do." And he's normally into like Johnny Cash and stuff like that, and he was like, "Oh no, I just like how anti-Bush it is," and like he was just well into like the
George W. Bush.
Yeah, he was well. He was just like really into like the feel of it. So I had to like get him a copy of it, and he still goes, "Oh, I get old punk rock music, the old Green Day."
Nice.
It's awesome. But yeah, my granddad was the way I got to and from gigs until very recently. It's so important to learn to drive. Anyone listening to this, any of the Rock Project guys, if you're watching this, as soon as you're old enough to drive, if you can afford to, do it, because you'll get so much more work. It took me until I was 26 to start getting hired for gigs because I had no form of transport before that. Ben, whose question we answered earlier, Ben Button, he's got the right idea. He learned to drive straight away, you know, and he's got a sick little
especially
whip
as a
well,
drummer. Like, you know, there's been a lot of drummers. There's been a lot of drummers that you know, I've used that are fantastic players but just don't drive. and you're just
So
like,
you're now stuck with someone who's a player, but he's got a well nice car.
Shut
so
up, man.
I'm joking.
That was the reason, yeah.
Self-ban.
But the you're like, you know,
a nice car?
I'd use them more, but like
It gets me from A to B.
I'm fed up of just picking people up and then storing their gear.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with you drummers. You
Got lost.
you always leave stuff. There's always like something left in your van. You're like, oh, I got my cymbal bag.
We have a lot of gear to remember.
Oh,
it's not
so
like
do I.
guitar, amp, pedal board. See ya.
Cables.
No. PA
I know,
system,
I'm
boy.
joking. PA system.
Entire PA
Murray.
system.
Oh, we've left Murray at the gig again. Wowies. One last question. So this was also an Instagram question. I'm going to aim it at all of us. I'm really sorry I've forgotten this person's surname, but it's Andrea. I think it's
Hammond?
Yes.
There we go.
Is that Hope's mum?
Yeah.
Yay, hi Hope's
Andrea.
mum. So when you started playing drums, were you self-taught or did you have lessons? So for you guys, bass, guitar, music, whatever you learned first. I was fully self-taught at drums, but it was kind of like one of those weird things where...
So you've never had a lesson?
I'd never had a drum lesson ever, but I was already like really into musically things. When I was really young, my next door neighbour, who was also my babysitter, was a piano teacher. So when she used to babysit, I'd go to hers and she'd kill the time by teaching me how to play the Joanna. So I kind of already picked up with like, it's a Joanna.
For the foreigners. Hi guys.
UKIP over here. For the foreigners.
I love foreigners.
Sheep. So sorry, there's a sheep over
What,
there.
you Welsh?
UKIP over here. So yeah, basically,
Doesn't even make sense.
I know. I was already quite like musical, so like before I bought my first drum kit, I bought a pair of drumsticks, and going back to American Idiot when that came out, I'd just sit there and I learnt the whole album tapping it on my legs. And when I bought a kit, the first thing I did was put that on my MP3 player and played along to it, and not to blow my own trumpet, it wasn't
Air drumming is a good way to teach you how to play drums.
Yeah,
it's those early
exactly.
days when you're trying to figure out how to do the legs at the same time as the hands.
Like the syncopation is what came easy to me, but the things that you don't learn until you're more experienced, like self-mixing your drums, dynamics, playing to the song, playing to the audience, like all that stuff comes with just experience. So yeah, I was, to answer your question, I was self-taught, but you know, there was a little bit of help along the way. I guess I went to college, but I didn't really do drums there. I ended up getting chucked on bass because we didn't have many bassists.
They were kind of bass racists.
They were very bassist. And I went to BIM as well, Brighton Institute of Modern Music, and got taught by some incredible drummers. So I didn't really teach myself I didn't have lessons originally, but I taught myself to play, then sought advice afterwards. That's how I'd phrase it. What about you two? I imagine, Josh, you were like bare tutored.
Murray did the thing.
Well, I was self-taught more or less. Like when we first started, it was a case of like learning. We wanted to be in a band. I wanted to be in a band more than I wanted to like learn how to play the instrument.
Yeah.
Basically, what would happen is I would have a lesson, and I'd go home and I'd just basically whatever I just got taught in my lesson, I'd just teach to Murray.
Yeah. So I used to steal a lot of stuff off of him, and then also just like learn the songs in the set, and then like I did.
It wasn't stealing. It was
do
sharing.
a lot of practicing at home, by the way.
Of course,
it
was knowledge sharing.
Yeah.
I think I had the same
But
thing
yeah,
as you.
like, and all your mates are all learning at the same time. You're like, I worked out how to do this thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, I worked out how to do this
It's all
thing.
riffs,
and then it just
Yeah.
kind of builds, and then eventually you're like, I can play.
with drummers who are getting into drumming at the sort of time that I was, it's always like, I just did this Travis Barker fill, and like, they're like, he nailed that intro for that song that person drums on.
But I never had any like structured academic thing through music.
Nah.
You did
when I went to
music
university-
up till GCSE started, right? So you were like you did music.
Yeah, but I don't
school.
think I learned anything from that.
But the thing is, like, less and less kids are getting that nowadays.
Yeah.
Actual,
sad.
compulsory music lessons. Less funding and stuff.
You can do a lot learning just teaching yourself if you just put your mind to it.
Yeah, in hindsight,
like, have the right frame of mind about how to go about it.
in
You do a
hindsight,
lot.
I kind of wish I had put more attention in at school and like at college, because
always.
the one, like, especially when it comes to music, because now that it is like my job, like I have to just be that guy who admits that my theory is absolutely terrible. Whereas if I'd actually paid attention at college and uni, I'd have a better, like, it isn't terrible, like I have a better grasp than some drummers, but did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing to be said about like not not having lessons and having told myself is there's blind spots.
Yeah.
And like
gaps,
my career up to now has just been a case of like trying to fill those in. Whereas if you start tutored from the ground up,
and it's also
you're being taught exactly what you're supposed to know.
Yeah,
it's also part of our kind of like our career now is filling in those gaps for the students.
Yeah,
because you know the points that you're missing, so you fill in those gaps so that your students don't have those gaps, and you sit there and you know sort of extra padding. I mean, I'm academic all the way. You know, I've done music from when I was 8 up until university level, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm not saying that music is an academic subject and should only be studied as such. It's just the fact of it helped me with segmenting what I needed to know at what points. Because when you're self-teaching, a lot of the time you just go, I need everything now. Just give me everything. Because you'll start trying to just learn songs that are way out of your reach. Really early on, and you don't know that that's beyond you, and you just get frustrated. And so many people will just go out there and have an unlimited budget and just buy a £3,000 guitar or a ridiculously expensive drum kit. Won't be able to play it because they're trying to self-teach. They have, they've spent all their money on the gear, but not on the tuition. So they'll just end up really frustrated and stop doing it. So I mean, like I did, grade 8 before I was 18. I had lots of different instruments, thanks to my parents, really supporting me, which not everybody has. So I've got to count myself lucky for that. I think an academic background is also a class-based thing. If you come from a low-income background, an academic way of learning is just out of your reach.
Totally.
So you're gonna have to, and that's why YouTube's so good, because like you don't have to pay anything. You're sure you need an internet subscription, whatever, but it's not quite as expensive as it used to be. So it really does level the playing field.
It does.
But like I say, you need that segmenting. I'm teaching all my kids grades outside of the rock project, even though like they're all just like, I don't want to do grades. I'm like, well, too bad. Get a different teacher then.
I kind of I mean, even coming from someone who is self-taught, I now kind of am really, I'm with you on that. Like, I do encourage a lot of the students I have to go down the academic route, because I kind of regret it. Like, it's a sweeping statement, but there's many examples, Josh being one of them, but it's only because growing up, my experience of the academic musicians were always the guys who were just would play everything perfectly and not have any style. Mainly with drummers, this is there was a guy in my school who was a banging drummer, but he was very robotic, he's playing it to the grade book all the time. He had no flair, no pizzazz, nothing. But that isn't always the case. But as a kid, that's what I saw, because he was an older, he was someone else above me in school who was a drummer, and I thought, oh, drummer, I don't want to be like him. No disrespect, because he's sick and I'm sure he's still banging. But that was what made me have that mindset. But now I'm a bit more mature in hindsight, looking back. I kind of wish I had, because, I don't have grades either. I'm a drum teacher and I've never taken a grade.
For a professional background, it's very difficult to get dep and session work if you can't put forward, just some kind of qualification. Because I mean, you can sit there and send off videos and videos and videos, but that still needs somebody to sit and ask you for a video first. Instead of sit there and just first email, grade 8 at this, played with this person, this person, this person, been playing for this amount of time, and I have these, I have a degree. And they'll just sit there and go, okay, cool, so other people think they're great.
I am super tempted to take my grades though, because
do it.
The alarm's going to go off. But when I was at BIM, you had to have at least grade 6 playing ability on your instrument, but I'd never taken a grade on drums. So in my audition to get in, they basically just said, well, we're just going to ask you to play grade 6 pieces on the fly, and if you can do it, we'll let you in. And luckily I could, because I just finished college. I could just about read the music as well. That's something else I'm terrible at. I can read drum music, but I can't read music. But I managed to wing it, and that's the thing. But I regret that.
Sorry.
That's cool. So in a nutshell, that was a really long answer, but I like that because it got quite interesting. I was self-taught, but my advice to anyone new is just make sure you do seek lessons, because then you get advice from people older than you who are teaching you the things you missed as a kid that you wish you'd learned, like me. So I'm going to round that off there, I think.
Well,
I enjoyed that.
Round it off.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
No, I just I'd like to hear more of Murray's opinion on that.
I think we've pretty much cleared it up.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
if that makes things
Sorry, I didn't think-
because we're big talkers.
We are
Murray's just
big
like, all right, I'll
talkers.
just let you get on with it.
Murray's
Sorry,
input was
Murray.
fine. I like Murray's input.
Yeah.
Murray's Worries. Murray's going to start a YouTube channel soon. Look out for it. It's called Murray's Worries.
Yeah. I got out of bed today, couldn't find my glasses, but then then I saw them and everything's fine. Anyway, like and subscribe.
But yeah, on that note, hopefully you enjoyed this. This was a bit of a trial period, a pilot episode as it were, of driving to gig video podcast. I need to think of a name. If you've got any
Rayna
ideas.
Vanta.
The Vanta Rainio. If you've got any ideas, leave a comment. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Do like the video for me. I know it's really lame asking for that, but it really does help people with algorithms and shizzle on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe if you're new. If you're not new here, thanks for watching.
Check out Rayna's Facebook page. Check out Murray's Facebook page. Check out my Facebook page.
All the pages. It's all going to be in the description.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to try and do more of these, but hopefully you have a really nice weekend. I think this will be coming out on a Friday, so hopefully the sun's still out and you can have a banging time. I'm sure there's loads of gigs to go to, and as per usual, whatever you're doing today, go out and smash it.
Lockerbillies, tally
Tally ho.
How?
Ho.
How?
Tally ho.
Tally how?